Planning Commission meeting. I'll call the roll. Jim Saunders.
Here.
Ray Strong.
Here.
Sean Jones.
Here.
Paul Reeder.
Here.
Bill Crowding. And Paul Ruge. I think Paul mentioned he wasn't coming. We have in our packet the minutes of draft minutes of the February 1st meeting. If everyone has reviewed those, if there are any omissions, corrections, addendums, please comment. And if not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I have a couple.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So on the paragraph stating who was in attendance, just put a period after attorney and cross the rest out. And then under applications for review, the first paragraph beginning Michael Noah, put a period at the end. And then I wasn't sure about the footer on the bottom of the first page. That probably needs to come out.
What we do with that footer is when we would insert today's date to adopt.
Yeah. Do you want to put it on the second page too, or just? I just saw a little inconsistency.
Right.
Hmm?
So,
Carry it over, or two different footers?
two different footers.
Okay. Thought I'd ask.
Right, I'm not. No.
You got it. Second period after overall system.
Where are you at?
Under applications for review, the paragraph that starts Michael
I see,
Noah.
got it.
Yep. That's all.
Okay, we've got, entertain a motion with those corrections.
So moved to accept the minutes as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, our first application today is for Jill Galmer and Lynn Winkler, a variance or pier length. If the staff, Mark, thank you, Mark.
Good afternoon. As mentioned, Jill Gomer and Lynn Winkler, who are owners, are requesting a variance to install a 10 by 14-foot platform to the end of an existing non-conforming pier, which is extending 230 feet from the mean high water. According to our land use ordinance, a pier is not allowed to extend the less of 25% of the width of the waterway, the edge of the channel, or 150 feet. So to do so requires a variance. This pier has been existing, has been non-conforming. They received a permit or authorization for MDE for in-kind replacement. That authorization included the platform. Our department reviewed that application, stating that they would require variance for an in-kind replacement. They received a permit for repair and maintenance for that particular pier. Not allowed to change or remove any of the pilings. Somebody did some replacement of the decking and some supporting beams as needed. They informed at that time they would perhaps come back later to pursue a variance for the platform which they wanted. So that's why we're here today. According to our laws, a lawful non-conforming structure may be altered or enlarged if the addition satisfies one or more of the following items. These include that the proposed addition, when considered independently of the existing structure, complies with the standards and regulations of ordinance. This would not, since it's out more than 150 feet. The non-conforming structure is not expanded beyond its current footprint. The addition does not project any further into required side yard setback than the existing structure. The addition is permitted by other provisions of this ordinance, or the Board of Appeals grants a variance. So they're seeking a variance for this purpose. A set of standards regarding the allowance of a variance. Our comments in regards to those standards are as follows: that the neighboring piers, including the attached platforms, neighboring piers include attached platforms. The proposed platform will not cause further encroachment into the waterway than the existing pier because it's attached to the side. The applicant pier, because it extends out of a cove, is approximately the same distance from the channel as the neighboring piers, and I included a aerial image of that particular configuration for your viewing. Thus, the variance will not cause a substantial detriment to adjacent or neighboring properties nor change the character of the neighborhood or district. The variance is not inconsistent with comprehensive plan or critical area program. Intent of the ordinance is that once a non-conforming structure is removed voluntarily, it is to be replaced in compliance with ordinance requirements. Granting a variance is required in order to construct a platform to the end of the existing non-conforming pier. According to the applicant, the practical difficulty is the consequence of a limited mean high water, depth of 5.5 feet at the end of the pier, and the requirements of mooring a sailboat, which includes accommodating a deep draft, the means of ingress and egress solely through forward motion, and sufficient edge upon which to tie the boat. The proposed platform would provide 20 linear feet at the deepest point of the pier, while allowing the unhampered ingress and egress of sailboats. Therefore, staff does recommend sending a favorable recommendation to the Board of Appeals for the pier variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any correspondence?
No correspondence on this application.
I guess the applicant is here.
My name is Lori Sample. I am with the contractor with Riptide Marine Construction. The applicants are here as well.
Are you going to testify at all? Maybe?
Do they need to?
No, not
No,
necessarily.
I want to swear you in, that's all.
Only if needed. They don't-
Okay. Can you raise your right hand? Do you agree the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, state your name and address, please.
My name is Lori Sample, Riptide Marine Construction, address 11 Edgewater Drive, Earlville, Maryland, 21919.
Thank you. Go ahead.
We are here, I've been working with Mark just to request a variance to add this platform at the end of the pier. We have went as contractors and done the repairs, and now we would like to add the platform that has been approved by the state of Maryland to give them the required depth they need for their sailboat and, finish the project.
Thank you. Okay, staff or planning commission members, have any questions for staff or the applicant?
I have one question, just more a matter of curiosity than anything. Do the applicants have a sailboat at this time?
They currently do.
How are they managing mooring the sailboat now?
It's not in the water right now.
I'm not sworn in.
Sorry, I don't know the detail. It's not currently at the property or in the water. They would like to bring it there. If,
You want to swear me in?
Yes.
We've only owned the property for less than a year. Last summer.
hold on, let
Yeah.
me swear you in.
Oh, okay,
Do you affirm the testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And name and address, please.
Lynn Winkler. Address here is 24251 Drayton Landing Drive. We live in Wilmington at 1111 Brandon Lane, Wilmington, Delaware, 19807.
Thank you. Grab, you can seat, please.
Okay.
Go ahead, if you, please,
sorry.
continue your answer.
We've been here less than a year, and it's turned into a project. Apparently, you guys had a storm a couple years ago, and there was some big trees that actually crunched the dock, and we've been working our way through. It was, as far as I was concerned, I wouldn't walk out on that dock.
No, it was not
No, we
safe.
had them take a look, and they said, ixnay, because it had been shifted in the trees. We got the trees out. We then went to get it repaired, and we ran into the problem, so we split the project.
Yeah, we went ahead and split the project. We did the repairs so it's safe to walk out, and now we're just waiting to see if we could get this variance approved to add the platform so they can bring their sailboat to the property.
And by the time we got done, it was late fall, and so it's on the hard right now.
Just kept it in dry dock?
Yeah, it's actually on the property, on a stand. We also have other things, but we ran out of time, that's all.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
welcome.
You can stay there. We may have other questions for you.
Uh-oh.
We don't want to waste a good swear-in now, ask you anything now, maybe related to the project or not. Anyone else, Jim, or anyone got a question?
I just, reading through this, it looks like that when you bought the property, that, you had to repair the, first part of your project, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you got a permit for that, but now you need a permit for the 10-foot I'm quite sure. That's what you're planning on.
Well, we got the permit, we have to go through stages with peer applications. First, we have to go through the state of Maryland, and we went through all their regulations, their drawings, and it conformed with everything, and we were granted permission for this platform. And then once we get to the county, which is the next step, then we found out that we were attaching to a non-conforming structure, that the pier that was existing. So that in turn needed to be brought to the Board of Appeals for the variance. So the state of Maryland said yes, the county said yes to the pier repairs, but the actual platform would have to be approved by you all, so. So we couldn't do them both at the same time unless timing was different, but we were already at, it was on our schedule. It's a long schedule. We didn't want to pull them off for another year when they couldn't walk on their pier. So we went, did the repairs, and now if we should be granted this variance, then we'd probably get back, and it wouldn't be next time we come by, they'll have to wait another, whenever we bring the barge by to drive more pilings. I mean, it's not a simple go build this platform. We would have loved to have done it at the same time, but it's just, they couldn't even walk on their pier. The repairs were very unsafe, so.
Thank you.
So you updated the pier.
Oh, sorry, to your question. Yes, so we finished the repairs. We got it updated, and then we were just, we took the platform out of the contract. The Kent County granted a permit for the pier repair,
Okay.
and that's it. And now, I'm not sure, Mark, if we would need another permit. Well, the variance, does that count as another permit for just the platform?
Yeah, so it'd be a separate permit.
So we would then, I guess, once this would be, granted or denied, we would then apply for a separate permit just for this platform.
I don't see nothing wrong with it, because if we grant you this, then you'd be able to move your sailboat in there, right?
Yes, sir, that's the whole goal.
Well, you made it better anyway, safer,
Yes.
and now you just holding out whether we need to grant you this so that you can move your sailboat in here and everything is fine.
Well, when they purchased the property, that was the goal, like he said, they just moved here a year ago. They bought a waterfront property in hopes to bring their current sailboat to the property. They didn't see a problem. We honestly didn't see a problem as contractors. I knew it would pass through what they wanted through the state of Maryland. I just did not know at the time that their current structure was non-conforming. And I only found that out once we applied for the county, and that's where we hit the road bumps, so.
I'm fine.
So this still has to go to the Board of Appeals?
Yeah, and I think, like I say, I understand this, and the state's approved it. The one thing we always have we've got the practical difficulties, everyone comfortable with that, it is water depth, which it's always a little, because people buy properties for the water depth, and, but that's a question for us, what we recommend.
I'll make a motion
Okay,
that we send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Appeals for the pier variance, finding that the variance is not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan or the critical area program, that the practical difficulty that is experienced by the owners as a consequence of limited mean high water depth at the end of the pier and the difficulty that creates in mooring their sailboat, finding that the proposed platform provides adequate linear feet at the deepest point of the pier to accomplish that objective. We also find that the variance is consistent with the surrounding property, having created platforms on their piers, and that it will not extend beyond the current limit of the current length of the existing pier.
and do we, about the, was not caused by that, you may have mentioned this, wasn't caused by the applicant's own actions.
I didn't mention that, but I will amend the motion accordingly.
We have a motion, a second?
I second.
Second. Any discussion? Okay. Jim Saunders, you vote yea or nay, or
Yes.
yes? Ray?
Yay.
Sean?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes,
Then I'll vote with the affirmative. So we'll send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Appeals, and good luck getting your platform done.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very
Take
much.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Hancock. Do you do gutters?
I do, but not very well. But
No,
there,
but I-
but there is a Joe Hickman that
There's another
does
Hickman,
great,
right?
Joe
Yeah,
Hickman. He's a
okay,
great gutter
that's
guy.
who we have.
Siding, too.
Yeah, we had some gutters. I'm going, that doesn't look like the same guy, but it's the same name, right?
On the weekends, I do. I don't even clean my own gutters. So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bill and Carla.
Yes. So Carla let me know that the next item on the agenda is the map change, but in your packet, the next item is the priority letter, so we can do either one.
Why don't we get the priority letter done? So
Okay. So as I know some of you recall, and Sean, this is probably the first time, every year at this time, the county is asked to do a letter that prioritizes our transportation projects. That letter follows a pretty similar format year to year, and the same project is our number one project, and that's the Chester River Bridge crossing. That's set out in our comprehensive plan as something that's to be protected. The right-of-way is to be considered in every approval that occurs along that right-of-way. And so the letter that's being proposed is, at this point, identical to the previous letter. It's been a little condensed with less detail. We did receive some correspondence from Town of Millington. They've reiterated all of the same points with one additional point, asking about replacing culvert pipes at the entrance of Millington Elementary School, which apparently is already underway. So I can add that point. Galena chimed in and said they're good with their previous points. And I haven't heard from the other towns, but I do plan on following up with them before it goes to county commissioners. So this is, in essence, the same letter, same projects we've done. And then what happens is this letter goes forward, is included by the state in their planning, and then we hear back about it when they come and do their annual tour, which is usually in October. So, and by tour, the Secretary of Transportation goes to each one of the counties and makes a presentation, or his staff team does, and they talk about what projects got approved and what's coming and what money's coming to the county. So, and long ago, I don't think the Planning Commission was involved in this, and I wanted to include you all so you have an idea of what's going on, and if you want to make suggestions, you certainly may.
This is the same letter that was submitted last year. Does that mean that they spent
Same
no money
question.
in our county? They didn't prioritize any of these
No,
things?
well, the big issue is our number one ask, the second river crossing, was, there was a study done in 2010, $640 million in 2010. So, and we don't offer any match. So we're asking for, in 2010 dollars, a $640 million bridge to be built. So I go through, there's a process that I submit every year, that's due March 1st, and that gets ranked against all large projects, and each and every year, we are always the last in the ranking, because we don't offer any matching money. But the state does do projects every year in the county. The big one they've been doing right now is the interchange of 301, the first interchange when you're coming up from the south. They're doing
Well, they're rebuilding
it's
the
a
bridge.
Bridge, not a
Bridge,
bridge.
yeah.
I'm sorry, the bridge. They're redoing the bridge. The construction's been going on for some time, so, yeah. That's their big project for Kent County. And then there's lots of small road repavings, there's lots of small maintenance. They do projects in the towns, some sidewalk projects, some intersection improvements. I know Millington was going through some of that. So we do ask for the same things, but a lot of these, things over time eventually make it, so.
Just curious.
Well, I had the same question as Sean. Did anything come off the list from last year?
It did not. Because-
So these are the same projects.
And I basically rely, the list is really, we have, two things, the bridge and the US 301 toll diversion, and then we have some sidewalk drainage improvements and traffic calming in Butlertown, Wharton, and Still Pond, and then everything else is the municipalities. And I rely on the municipalities to let us know, what do you want?
So, and many years, their projects change quite a bit. This year, it just happened not to be. A lot of times, our letter is, it's the same projects for the county, but then the town swaps out points, so that's
What,
happened a number
what,
of times.
Bill, what about Butlertown? I mean, do they address that? I mean, that is a school out there, and the school board puts a path to the road. And we have some sidewalks there on, I guess at Knights Landing there a little bit, right? But I think when you encourage children, young people to go off the property into a road, it just seems like that should get some priority with the state for safety reasons.
Like I say, sidewalks.
Yeah,
Which
but I
know
mean, do
did
they,
that in
I guess my
Rockall.
question is, they just didn't fund it, or they comment on it at all? Like, say, we think, or,
These go into the review process, and then in October, they come out with a list of the projects they're doing. So it's sort of a input, and then there's an output in about 6 months. So, and I can certainly share that with you all, what they proposed last year and this year, et cetera, so.
Would it,
thank you.
would it help at all to raise the safety issue? Because I drive through Butlertown frequently, and there are lots of kids walking on the road. Same thing in Still Pond. And there are people that are speeding through, and I think it is a safety issue that we ought to highlight
Sure.
in the letter. Because there's no place else for them to go. The sidewalks in Still Pond and Butlertown are miserable, if they exist at all.
Okay. Butlertown and Still Pond, yep. And if you wanted to see last year's, in the staff report, there's a link. If you go to that link, I've highlighted the pages where they talk about things. Most of the pages are bike paths, asphalt improvements, but then the big one is, I believe it's 417 to 420. It lists all the things they did for us last year, so you can see what panned out. So I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Thank you.
That, project that you talking about for the sidewalks in Butlertown, come from the school, going down that road, that project has been on the shelf for a long time. It's just didn't get there. That project been on the shelf a long time. So who is keeping it on the shelf?
Well, my understanding is in the end, MDOT makes the call about prioritization and what happens. And I know this year they have an enormous budget kind of rollback, so they're not going to be able to fund as many things as they have, at least in the recent past, is my understanding.
Because that project, like Joe said, and Paul said, that should be the first project that should be put forth, because that's a safety issue. And that project should be the first one to be put forth for those kids that walk from the high school and walk on down and go into that development and stuff,
Okay.
And they're walking to the school.
And we had a fatality out there years ago,
Yeah.
before Ray was born, when young man was hit by a piece of farm
killed out there.
equipment walking on the side of the road.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
As a side note, Bill, sooner or later, Chestertown's going to have to deal with needing a new bridge, unquestionably.
Well,
Have
the
we-
existing bridge was recently repaired. I mean,
Well, I
maintained.
know, and it's been repaired it's been repaired multiple times in the 30-some years I've been here. Have we given any consideration on the county side to trying to solicit federal funds to match state funds to build a new bridge?
Not that I'm aware of. I can tell you a little bit of history about the bridge third hand, because I wasn't here, but my understanding was at some point, that second crossing was pretty close to moving forward, and a number of merchants in Chestertown objected to it because they thought it would take business away from the downtown area of
I
Chestertown.
remember that.
So I think we got close to getting a yes, and then we ourselves said no. And I think that may have sort of changed how the state views the project. And in addition to that, Queen Anne's County has adopted a formal resolution opposing the project because it would route traffic through a neighborhood whose name I can't remember, but who's directly across the way from where, like, the Gillespie properties are.
Chester Harbor.
Thank you,
Chester Harbor,
Chester
right.
Harbor, yes.
Didn't they
So-
back off that, though? Didn't their commissioners back off that?
If they did, they didn't do anything formal that I've
Okay.
ever seen. I've
I-
only seen the
there was, it
objection.
became up, it had softened over the years a little
okay.
bit, mostly because all those people from Winchester Harbor get backed up on the bridge now. So they're victims of their
Right.
own interest there.
I mean, every year I resubmit, so I mean, we're still moving forward, but I just know historically,
Yeah.
there's been sort of
Oh, yeah, it
a
was-
mixed message from us, I think. Yeah.
I agree.
That bridge been there a long time, and they don't realize that the piers underneath of that bridge, is they go and repatch it. That's what they normally doing in that bridge when they're working on, is trying to repatch it. But God forbid, when them big trucks gonna go over there and she's gonna drop one of these days, because that pier, them piers are cemented, they're concrete and they're not, and they gonna, it's gonna eat in the salt water in there, it's gonna eat that concrete up, and it's gonna drop them piers. That's why they go in there and repatch a lot of time.
Okay.
That's what they do, but you have to look into it, because one of them big trucks gonna come over there. Might not even have be a big truck, might be anything. It comes over there at a time, and it's gonna collapse somewhere. Because they stopped opening that bridge up once, I know that. But it's been there a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we can
We'll add those
just stay in
comments
your
to the letter
seats
and-
there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tell us your thoughts about this is a map review.
Okay. Definitely, Carl, I want you to chime in, I'll just sort of open up here. So the goal of what you have in your packet this week, this month, is to give you an idea of the scope of what you're reviewing. I know the commission talked about doing it all in one day, maybe having a special meeting and lining it all up and doing it, and I think that's a fine idea, but I just wanted you all to sort of be aware of what exactly are you going to be accomplishing, how much do you have to review in that one day? And I think Carla's sort of summary of it is, there's a good amount of these that are pretty easy yeses and a good amount that are pretty easy nos, and there's a small area that might be subjects of debate. So just wanted you all to get to see it, understand it. We will have a series of large maps available for you on the table when you do meet, showing the PFA, water and sewer, fiber, current zoning, and preserved land. Tyler's going to operate, or we're going to attempt to, we've tried and had some issues, but we'd like to have GIS maps up on the screens so we can turn on and off multiple layers so you can see how things stack up in different ways and just pick different layers. I did not reach out to applicants yet because it sort of occurred to me to reach out and say, hey, we need your justification, please send it in, and we're going to have a meeting in the future. And instead of doing 2 rounds, I just thought, once I have a date, once we know when you're going to meet, I can notify folks in the newspaper, by letter and email, and just say, here's when we're meeting, if you have an application, plan to attend, and please submit some justification or letter that talks about why you'd like to have your zoning changes. Sort of do it in one single big push, so hopefully it's memorable. So that's where I am with this, and I know Carla's been over every single one of these properties and probably knew 95% of them before they applied, who was coming in.
No, I think you did a good job of summarizing where we're at. I'll follow up. There were a couple of questions as we came in. There are some maps at the very end that represent a couple of the things that staff thinks we should discuss. That's the very last page is sort of talking about the rural character area and addressing potential issues there. We also know that there are going to be a couple of other additions that come from staff. There's a malfeasement, an ag preservation easement that happens to have village zoning. Well, we should just make it all ag. There's no reason to make it village anymore. There might be some other split zoning issues that have come up through various adjustment of lot lines, and those property owners just didn't even think about it. There may be a couple of things that come up as we review the changed critical area line. And there are a couple places where we might need to make some decisions on zoning as well for things coming out or going into the critical area, so,
And I kind of consider that map cleanup.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And, I mean, the critical area changed, but it's all very slim little edges where it moved in a little bit or moved out a little bit, very small.
But there are a couple of other spots where there's just a slightly bigger decision to be made, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
I think Sean had a good idea last time about, and I know you always do a great job of notifying everyone, and then people complain they didn't know about it. But how about obviously the applicants will get notified personally, but what about, how do you handle neighbors and things? I mean, do we have to do more than just the newspaper or the website, or?
We do not have to do more. If that's something you would like us to do, we can certainly do that. That will take a little bit of time.
That's
but
why
we can do
I didn't
that.
want to make, I just
Yeah.
questioned if,
To me, the amount of notice we do just means we need to push the date out a little bit so we can have the time to get it to folks, so you get to know. But that's certainly something we can do.
I'm just,
Yeah, and we have to notify the towns. That's another
Yeah.
notification that we do.
Our recently enacted amendments provide that if there's going to be a zoning map amendment, there has to be a notice that's conspicuously placed.
Right, but this comprehensive zoning is not regulated by the land use ordinance, so it's its own independent process.
Okay.
And we could, we've tried to model it after the ZTA process, but we don't have to do that, so.
Okay.
And I
So this
think- And I think
doesn't
in-
apply.
Right, the zoning code itself, this is a meta process that alters the zoning code, so the zoning code can't regulate the process that's above it. So-
Got it.
Right.
And we can certainly publish an ad like we did for the task force, in the Tidewater Trader, the Kent County News. It can be announced at a county commissioners meeting when the date will be. So, I think there are a variety of ways to,
I know you do, I
Hopefully.
just wondered,
you
that.
could probably even get Jamie to say something when she does her radio.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
And if you want to send a notice to neighbors,
I don't want to make
we're
more,
happy to do it.
like I say, it's probably for the ones in the middle are the ones that would create, and probably lots of people may know about those if they follow the process. What's your thoughts on meeting? I think we discussed evenings to be helpful to the public, I think, because I've heard that before. Commission members, what are your thoughts on?
We can do, and I think it would be good to do it later than in the middle of the day.
To make sure that all the applicants can get in without causing them trouble, I think that makes the most sense.
Good.
I do have a request. Paul Ruge said that he has a blackout time between April 15th and the 22nd, so he would prefer it not to happen then because he can't come, so.
Okay.
Let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
I've been going through this package. And why, maybe you have to explain this to me. Why are we rezoning and updating, giving them the opportunity to rezone their property and stuff? Why?
So in the sort of biggest system in Maryland, communities are guided by their comprehensive plan.
Okay.
So in 2018, we amended our comprehensive plan. We amended it previous times before that. But as a follow-up, when you amend your comprehensive plan, you look at your zoning code to see, does it implement it well? And that process is called comprehensive rezoning. You can do it for the entire jurisdiction, or you can take sections and do it in parts. But we chose to do it all. And part of that process is you give people the opportunity to come in and ask for a zoning change as part of that process. Since we're reviewing the entire community, it's a time for those small pieces to be viewed in a bigger context. Otherwise, the only other choice people have is to try and prove what's called change or mistake, which means, I want to change my zoning because a mistake happened or the neighborhood has so vastly changed that my zoning, designation is inapplicable. So we invite people to come because this is the time to ask, because we're doing a community-wide review. So there is one other way that people can get their zoning changed, and that's through a floating zone, but we don't offer that here. We don't have any floating zones. So really, for most people, that's the two ways, unless there's a fourth way that you're no, okay.
Okay.
I hope that helps. Does that answer?
I guess, I read through all these packets. I try to read through the letters and everything. And my question was, like I said, if you've been living there so long, and then you get the opportunity to change your, your grant, your land or something, your property. And I see some here that said, yes, they like, and some said they didn't,
Right.
And I was just wondering, I said, what do it benefit an individual that been in their property, on their property for X amount of years, and now they want to rezone?
Right. Well, some people want to expand a business. That's one general
Okay.
reason. Some people want to be able to divide their property among children and currently cannot. That's
Okay.
another possibility.
Okay.
So those are some standard ones. And then there's other folks who just would like to take their property and make it an investment opportunity, look into some other way of, developing the property they happen to find themselves owning.
Okay.
I think for some folks, there's a long-term plan, right? Some folks have been waiting a long, long time for this. So they may have had plans in the back pocket for a couple decades, and this is their opportunity. The last time we did it was 20 years ago, so I think people want to jump on it because it might be another 20 years before we do it again, so.
That's what I was thinking, because I ain't never heard of this since I've been here. I said, I ain't never heard of this. I never seen a package this big, They came out, I tell them back, I said, good gracious, I'll take 2 nights to read this. But I understand what you're saying now. It's been 20 years, and okay, there's changes, and changes come with time, and I understand that.
It's also the planning commission or the county commissioner's opportunity to look at the county as a total thing, and they could, without somebody's request, look at rezoning property, because it fits some goal that they have, adding additional industrial land in Massey. I mean, I'm throwing something out there. This is not something that's been discussed.
That has not been discussed, yes. We're not aware of that in the works. So.
Or additional village land outside surrounding Galena, or, I mean, there could be any number of things that the commissioners or you would want to recommend to also implement those comprehensive plan goals, so.
There's several in this packet that are requesting no change.
Yes.
And they
Right.
just get cleaned out of the pack, and we don't need to deal with them.
If you want us to physically remove that from the packet next time, sure.
I would just send them the letter and say, if you don't request a zoning change, we will not,
Yeah,
let it.
I think
so
that's all they're
they-
looking for. They just want some comfort
Afraid.
knowing that they're not.
Yeah, they don't have to
on
sit here
the
through a
Yes.
meeting to find that out.
Right.
clock. Correct,
Okay.
so,
Clean it up.
And
Yeah.
clearly, their neighbors don't need to be notified if we go that
Yeah,
route or
yeah, and I
anything
don't,
like
I'm not
that.
saying we
They're
have to go that route with the neighbors, I just.
Those are people who like
Yeah.
their neighborhood, they like where they live, they wanted to, if the county was going to consider changing their neighborhood, they kind of wanted to voice that, no, we like it, we don't want changes. So we suggested that they go on ahead and complete the form to put it on the record, how they felt.
Since they are on the record, do you need a motion from us to do a blanket acceptance of their request and request to send a letter to them notifying them that there will be no change? Do you need that?
Well, I think the county commissioners would ultimately decide, so
Right.
maybe it's an issue of notifying the county commissioners that these property owners don't want to change to their zoning designation.
The
And it would be
motion.
it would be the planning commission's recognition and acceptance of their no change request and notification of the commissioners. I guess that's what that would look like.
And I would like to sort of closely review some of those requests, because I think at least with one, there's an implication that really what they're asking for is their entire neighborhood not to change, and they are in Millington where growth is proposed. So I
Yeah,
think there
it's
may be
all that
some inferences. I want to be careful how any letter like that might be worded,
Sure, I mean,
Because
I'll
we
leave
can't
it to you
guarantee
to
something
write
for
the
someone
letter.
else's property, right? Okay, thank you, Cindy, that's helpful. Yeah, your role is advisory.
Scheduling, so
Yep.
it's got to be probably after April 22nd. Is that what, you said, gave me some dates there,
At our next meeting.
or our next meeting? I don't know what our agenda is, but
And we don't know what your agenda is yet either, right?
Yeah.
Because we haven't had a tax.
And we want to give
It could be
the
good,
evening meeting, I think.
But do we want to do it before our
Could
next
be more
meeting?
decorative.
Oh,
Could be
before, I'm sorry, misunderstood.
K&R
That's,
convenience
if they can get it
store,
together, I think
Gillespie
there's a
Office Station.
notification issue, right? I mean,
Well, it's just the
I'd suggest
7th
that we do it that
today,
day.
of March.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
So
Yeah, they still gotta at least notify all the applicants. I would think
what
after
amount of
that.
time do you need?
Well, I would want, I mean, I would want to give people at least 2 weeks heads up.
Should probably be looking at May. Sometime in May then.
Well, that's certainly more
or
than
the
2
late,
weeks.
what was Paul's dates?
Paul just said April 15th to the 22nd would be a problem, so I think the end of April would be
Yeah, I
still
think
fine.
we could do that. Because we'll have whatever, April 4th or 5th, we have a meeting, whatever, or maybe, I don't know what day.
I think it's the 4th.
4th, so that's only, yeah, we,
Yeah, you're on the 4th for April.
I mean, some of these,
So could go the next week.
based on the new land use ordinance that'll, some of them even change the names of, you know, there's no more of or wasn't, you know, there's
Yeah.
just,
Right,
there's a lot of
exactly.
things that need to get cleaned up in this. It's gonna take them some time just to get.
Right. So, second Thursday in April?
Which is the what?
11 in April.
Yep, that makes sense, 11. Just looking.
Oh, for the meeting,
Late meeting.
I won't be here.
Okay.
I'll be out of town. I won't be here. You said 11?
Of April.
When are you out of town?
April 11th is what Bill threw out.
When do you leave town, James? When are you out of town?
I'm in Atlanta.
From when to when?
I don't know, I don't know if I come back on when is the 11th, on what?
Thursday.
Thursday.
I'm in the air coming back. Yeah, that Thursday I won't be,
So then I guess
but that's fine.
after the 22nd.
I'll be coming back that Thursday.
the staff's all right with April 11th? Okay.
And what time would you like to start if it's an evening meeting?
I would suggest it's earlier than 7, because like 6 maybe, or 6:30.
Commissioners always start at 6.
6 is fine.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I might be back then in the evening.
Oh, that'd be good then.
Want somebody to pick you up?
Yeah, well,
5 o'clock.
can the planning staff send a driver over for Jim at the airport again here? That's in your budget?
Is that in the budget?
We're not doing a bridge, so we got the money.
Not that one.
I should make it back by then, I guess.
Wonderful.
Good.
I'm glad.
I think I fly in the morning coming out.
Just make sure you
I
take your
have a
packet with you so
technical
you read it on the
question.
plane.
Does that date work for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm double checking.
Joe, I have a technical question. A number of these properties are subject to the ag tax, ag
Okay,
transfer
right.
tax recovery or what, something like that. How does this affect that? It doesn't change?
Doesn't change. Again, they're taxed on their use,
That's right, not their
it's-
zoning.
and their use is not going to change. It's only the zoning that changes.
Are we sure of that?
We are sure of that.
Okay. So in other words, they're all going to get a waiver even if they're taken out of ag and put into.
They're not being taken out of ag. The land, the use stays the same. It's only the overlying zoning that changes.
I understand, but I thought that the rule was that if your zoning changes, then you're subject to the transfer tax unless you get a waiver that says that you're going to continue to farm for the next 5 years.
That's just the use of the property, not the zoning designation.
You have to sign an ag letter of intent, and if it's already signed, it doesn't change.
Okay, so once that intent
And
is
just the
in place.
Assessment office only looks at
Okay, okay. Okay.
what's been signed.
Well, and I do have to say, there are other places, not Maryland, where value is partially determined by zoning. So there's enormous swaths of commercial land zoned along roads in every direction to make money. But that, it doesn't, that's not how it is here, so, yeah.
Anything else, the greater good? Cindy, do you have anything? Staff have any other comments about any other issues?
Not at the moment. Gentlemen? No? Okay. Well, wait
Oh,
a
I was
minute.
going to say, our staff report is
Have we
to,
introduced you yet?
No.
Come on up. Okay. We have a new associate planner, who's also an old associate planner. Come on up.
take a seat. Be the star.
Hi.
So if you all recall, Rob Tracy worked for us a couple of years ago, and he has returned. And I will try to not hurt myself by smiling. So do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Rob Tracy. I'm an AICP planner. I started my career here in 2019. I worked here for about 2 years, and then I was a senior planner with Queen Anne's County, and I've come back as an associate planner with the department. I'll be doing the MOUth program as well as demolition permits and other duties. So I look forward to working with you and serving the great citizens of Kent County.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Rob lives right here in Chestertown. So,
Good. Very good.
yeah.
I
We're-
didn't
we're
recognize
full
you.
staff.
You look younger. That's what I usually like. You know?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Maybe it was because you looked older when you left here before. I don't know. Maybe they're hard on you. If there's nothing else, Mark, or any, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
That was easy.